I have been a teen librarian for about 12 years, and I live in Illinois. And every state has a state conference, a state library conference. And about 8 or 9, 10 years ago or so, the one in Illinois was in Chicago. So just like any conference, any book festival you go to, a big conference festival, whatever, there's always fun activities at night to keep people engaged and to meet people and all this stuff. And so there was a pub crawl for this particular year, and I know it was a long time ago because it was Hunger Games themed. So that tells you right there, it was a long time ago. And the idea was, it's a pub crawl. So on the list, they give you a list of pubs to go to. You go to the pub, you meet people, and you order food. And you're supposed to order enough food to leave on the table so that when you leave, the next group of people can eat it or whatever. So that's what we did. We went to this pub and we decided to order some tater tots. And when the tater tots came back, they were like huge. They were this big. And you could only really eat one. And so we're like, well, we got like 20 freaking tater tots on this table. And we weren't with any other librarians at the time. So we're like, okay, well, we'll just leave them on the table. And so I decided to tweet out that we have tater tots here at this pub. Come and get it. And, use the hashtag. I don't remember what it was, like Illinois pub crawl library. I don't know, whatever the hashtag was. I used it. And so I tweeted out. And then after I press tweet, I noticed that I put, hey, y'all, we have tater tits instead of tater tots. We in the biz call that a classic Dawn when I goof, because I goof a lot. And for some reason, I could not delete it. It was in the ether. It was there. So yeah, come get yourself some tater tits. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Novel Universe with your host, Dawn. It's just me today. And today I will be reviewing, let me pull it up, This Poison Heart by Kaylnn Bayron. If I didn't already say it, I am one half of the Novel Universe. I do a podcast with my friend Ashley, and sometimes we read books separately and we want to talk about them, so we might be by ourselves sometimes. And that is me today, by myself, with my fake eyelashes that I've never worn before, my first time. Kept getting them free, so I was like, can't let them go to waste, gotta try. So here we go. And I can't see. Per usual, this will be a spoiler-free review of This Poison Heart, and I will start with my rating. I will go into my likes. I will do my dislikes first, and then I will go into my likes, and then yeah, that's it. This Poison Heart is about Briseis. Hopefully I said that right. Bree, what they call her, and she is a teen girl who has a special power, and her power is that she can enhance flowers and shrubbery. I don't know anything about plants. And when they're around her, they like grow and sprout, and she's impervious to poison as well. She's also adopted, and in one day she inherits this huge house, and she goes to live on this estate, and she finds some secrets about her family. This book also has some Greek mythology sprinkled. Well, it's not sprinkled, it's like doused. It's a lot of it. So I gave this book a 4. And I think this is probably one of the first 4s I've given this year. My nickname is the criticizer of books. I do not like most books. Sorry. Not sorry. I don't apologize for that. I don't like most books. I'm very critical of books. And I think it just came from, like I said, I was a librarian and I was on a committee and we had to choose the best 10 books of the year, and you kind of have to read with a real critical eye if you can only choose 10 books of the year. And so I've started to be quite a critical reader, a little tough. So I gave this book a 4, and here's why. Let's get into dislikes. My first and really only dislike is the pacing. I thought that it was it wasn't slow, but it wasn't quick either. It's I won't call it a coming of age, but it kind of had the pacing of a coming of age, where we see a lot of the just everyday life stuff. So I'm gonna walk to the bakery and have myself a cupcake, like that type of pacing, where we're kind of getting a glimpse into her life, into her friendships, into her daily conversations. And so that kind of happened a little too much. And so by 60% of the book, she still hasn't had any answers. She still doesn't know who her family is, what their jam is, about her special power. Like 60% in, we haven't really solved too much. And I'm like, let's go. I got things to do. Let's go. So the pacing was my only problem, but by the end of the book, it all hits the fan and it's pretty good. So yeah, other than that, I don't have any more dislikes. For me to only have one dislike, first of all, is an anomaly. That never happens. I usually have a list of stuff that I don't like from books. But for me to only have one dislike and to only give the book a 4, the reason for that is, although I thought this book was really sweet and cute and approachable for teens, it is not a critical book. And by that I mean there's not much challenging you here. There's no dynamic character development. There's no interesting character growth. The world is like, it's fine. The themes are quite obvious and on the nose. It's not a bad thing for this book, but it's not really challenging you. It's not a book discussion book. Like, I wouldn't necessarily choose this for a book discussion for teens or adults. So it just kind of lacks a little critical merit. And when I read a 5-star book, regardless if it's teen or not, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something critical to sink my teeth into. And this book just didn't really have it. Doesn't mean it's a bad book. It just means that it's not a 5-star for me. But it is a 4-star and I do recommend it. So let's get into some likes. My first like is the writing style. I didn't read Cinderella Must Die or Cinderella is Dead. I don't know the name of it, but it's the black girl on the cover and it's got the word Cinderella in the title. You know what I'm talking about. I didn't read that because I thought it was middle grade and I don't like middle grade, so I just kind of avoided it. But I will say that I did like Kaylynn's writing style. It was funny when it was supposed to be funny. A lot of times I hate when authors try to be funny and they're not, and it is like really clear in their writing. It's like, ooh. I think she wrote the way teens talk. It was easy to read. The second thing I liked about it is, and I have to kind of explain myself a little bit. So clearly Kaylnn is a black woman and she has written black characters. And most authors, black authors, or any author of color, they try to put in their books cultural references and things that whoever the person of color is in the book, what they do on a daily basis that might be different from a white person or a white reader. And Kaylnn didn't invent this. She ain't the first person to do this, but I thought she did it better than other people have done it. And one of the things she does is the way that the characters in this book talk. And I bring that up because I speak a lot like the characters in this book do. And I found myself just like laughing and be like, yes, finally a book where this is where I talk. Like, all black people don't talk the same way. So, and I'll give the example of The Hate U Give. In that book, I didn't talk like those characters. It's not that I didn't relate to the book or anything. It's just that I didn't talk like Star. I didn't talk like her parents. And when I say talk, I mean literal words coming out of my mouth. Not the symbolism behind my words, but the literal words coming out of my mouth. But in this book, I spoke a lot like her moms did. And one example is, at one point, one of her moms gets really upset. And she was like, I'm going to kill that heifer, or I'm going to beat that heifer up. I don't know exactly the words, but she called somebody a heifer. Heffa. And although I hadn't used the word heifer in a really long time, I used to say it a lot in college, but it just kind of brought me back. It immediately brought me back to college because I say the word heifer. I think this book sounds like me because the moms play a really big role in the book, whereas usually in YA books, the parents are kind of in the background. You don't really see them too often. Case in point, The Hate U Give, and it's all about Star, but I don't talk like Star because I'm not 17, and well, B, I'm not 17. But in this book, her moms are probably the same age as me, and so I just thought that was really funny. Another example is Bree's mom called her a big head baby. And she said it a couple times. That big head, oh, you my big head baby. She called her big head baby. And I used to work with my friend Elise. She's still my friend, but we used to work together. And one day we were watching something, I don't know, on YouTube or whatever. And I was like, and I said something like, oh, look at that big head baby. And she goes, Elise is white, by the way. And she goes, that's kind of rude. Like, oh, you call her a big head. And I had to explain to her that when black people say big head baby or look at your big head, it's not an insult. It's a term of endearment. I know that sounds strange if you're not black watching this, but a lot of times black people use the term big head as kind of a term of endearment. I could see how she could see that as an insult because it does, no one wants to be called big headed. That's not necessarily cute. But I just thought it was really funny that the mom was like, oh, my big head baby. And it was sweet. It was a sweet moment. Whereas my white friend Elise was like, that's mean. So anyway, going back to like the culture and how she writes black culture. And once again, she did not invent this. She is not the first person to do this. But just the way Bree kind of described her hair washing routine, and she doesn't really go into too much detail. She doesn't have to. She's just like, I got out of the shower, after I conditioned my hair, I twisted it up and put it in, like it was really quick, and as it is just part of her daily life. And so I like that, and she does that a lot in this book, where she just like really quick cultural relevant references in this book that a non-black person would learn something new about black people and just our daily life that we don't talk about at work or at school. So I did like that about the book. Another example of this is when Bree is talking to her friend Carter, and she says, there's only like 6 people in this town, I counted. I thought that was funny, because this is something that black people do. I don't know if a lot of white people realize this, or other people of color might do this too, but I know white people don't. I like this because once again, it shows something that black people do that white people probably didn't know, because we don't go around announcing, hey, we count all the black people in the room. We don't do that. But black people are very aware of their surroundings, especially if it's a new place, at all times. For example, I was driving back from college. I went to school in Illinois, and I was driving back from college, which is like 3 hours away from my house, and I had to stop and get gas. But I was scared because I was in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if these white people are friendly, sorry, but I was scared. And I know you're like, well, Illinois is a blue state. Chicago makes it blue, but the rest of Illinois is very red. And I was scared because I didn't know who I was going to encounter in this gas station off some podunk road somewhere. And that's something that black people deal with on the daily. When we are in a new situation, we are constantly scared. A new town, a new restaurant. First thing I do when I go into a new establishment, a restaurant, a new town I'm not sure of, if I'm not in Chicago somewhere, I count all the black people in the room. If I don't see any black people, I count Hispanic people, Hispanic, Spanish, Latin people. If I don't see any brown people at all, I'm nervous. I'm nervous, and this is typical of black culture. So I like that she kind of dropped that in there. I did like all the characters. I liked Bree. and her moms particularly. I did like that her moms were in the story. I hate YA books where parents are non-existent. It's unrealistic. I do not like that. But her parents were very much a part of the story and a part of her life. I liked Carter. So the characters were pretty good. Overall, I thought it was a very cute story. I thought that there were some really good themes here with, being different and feeling different. In this case of this book, she has magic, but it could be relevant to anything if you feel different. But then having friends and family who accept you for who you are, I thought that was a really good theme. The Greek mythology, which is another like that I forgot to mention, is that I know zero about Greek mythology, but I felt like this book didn't convolute it, which sometimes books that have Greek mythology can get quite convoluted and you can get really confused. But this book centered on Medea and a couple of other Greek gods. I don't remember their names right now. But it centered on those gods and it built up a story around those, and it kept it very simple, which I appreciate. So that was a pretty good book, and I highly recommend it if you haven't read it yet. Well, thanks for joining the universe for the review of This Poison Heart, and I will catch you in the next YouTube video. Bye-bye.